Did I just wave? Just a sec, I'm trying to I'm trying to put the tweet out that I'm streaming, so this one and on YouTube. There we go. This music is too loud. There we go. Hello, Lazaria. Wait, I have a new. There we go. Hello. I can wave now. I love it. There we go. Yeah. Okay. I found the right buttons now. So, yeah. Before I start drawing or working on my comic, I promised I would do a tutorial, and the whopping three people that answered which tutorial they'd like to see decided that we are going to dive into the not so hard topic of putting 3D backgrounds in comic pages. Because, I don't know, it still seems to be a topic not much people know how to do, I guess. Even though I think there's tutorials out there, but they are mostly colored, I think. Though I guess my tutorial can be used for colored work as well, but I'm doing black and white today, so if you're interested in knowing how to do colored work or colored backgrounds, I suggest you look up another tutorial. I guess. Yeah, well, so also the way I do it is of course not the end all. I mean, it's one way, not the right way. It's just my way. And to start off, you need, where did I put it? There we go. you need a few programs which are mostly free. Like if you want to get SketchUp, you can get SketchUp for free. It's SketchUp Make. Best get an older version. Like I think the latest download version is 2017. I guess. I think the other versions after this are online only or something. But you can find the 2017 Make, like SketchUp Make version. There we go. SketchUp Make. There's a SketchUp Pro and SketchUp Make, and the Make one is free. Also, PhotoSketcher is free completely. You can donate a coffee to the developer, which I've done, I think, like 4 times by now. But I suggest getting PhotoSketcher, which is for free, as I said, because I'm using PhotoSketcher to turn the colored images from SketchUp into black and white pictures. I could do that with Clip Studio Paint, I guess, or Photoshop, or any other normal software for drawing and graphics and stuff. But PhotoSketcher has some neat features that sees dark lines in dark surroundings and picks out the line and puts 2 white lines next to the dark line inside a dark. You will see what I mean. It's just not. It's scanning the picture and working better in seeing what's actually there than just Photoshop seeing if is it less than 50% black or more than 50% black, and deciding which part will be black and white depending on that. But as I said, you will see what I mean when I get to that. So my normal way is I go from SketchUp to PhotoSketcher. So I'm exporting from SketchUp. I will to show what I'm doing in a minute, but I just thought I'd give a little overview before we start. So I'm going to export. This is way too big. There we go. From SketchUp, either as a JPEG or as a PNG. I usually did JPEG or do JPEG, but lately I've started using PNG because of a new way of using transparent stuff to layer backgrounds. But more on that later. From PhotoSketcher on, I'm gonna get a JPEG, so it's saving a JPEG. You can basically, if you have a JPEG before, you can oversave your, you can save in the same place your old JPEG was, because you will never need to use this JPEG again. If you have had a PNG, you just save as a new JPEG, because from there on you'll go either into Inkscape or Illustrator or any other vector-based program that has the automatic vectorizing feature. I don't know a lot about Inkscape because I'm using Illustrator because I bought it. Inkscape is free, as far as I know, and I quickly googled it, and it seems to have the same automated vectorizing tools that Illustrator has, so it should work. But I will not show Inkscape today because I don't have Inkscape, because I don't use it. So you'd have to search a tutorial for Inkscape to find this this specific tool I'm using in Illustrator, and from there I'm gonna save a TIFF because usually you can save a way bigger TIFF from Illustrator than JPEG. So I'm usually using TIFF as my file. You cannot use EPS, sadly, which is a vector file. You can use it if you use Photoshop, but if you're drawing your comics in Clip Studio Paint, you cannot use EPS because Clip Studio Paint can't import vector files, sadly. This looks way more convoluted than it actually is. I mean, yeah, it looks like quite a lot of steps I'm using, but it's still faster than drawing the backgrounds myself, especially if the backgrounds are very detailed, and when the backgrounds are recurring. For example, you have an apartment or room or classroom or something like that that will appear a lot of times in the story because maybe it's the apartment of the main character or the room of the main character or the classroom where all the main characters go to school or something. Then you will have to draw it over and over and over and over again. So it's easier to build it in 3D once. Hi, Aptix. It's easier to build it once and reuse it in this way here, instead of drawing it all again and again. I mean, this whole 3D thing is, some people look down upon it because they think to be a real, wait, do I have something something that I can use for this? No, a real wait, a real mangaka. You have to draw everything by hand, which is ridiculous. Especially if you're not Japanese and have at least one helper that draws the backgrounds for you, then this here is the only economical way really you can put out comic pages in a timely manner and still have cool backgrounds, because it's yeah, no, we're not talking about free software. I'm giving a little tutorial on 3D backgrounds. um so where was I? Yeah, backgrounds. So I mean, if you're a comic artist and you want to tell a cool story and everything, and you have the ability to draw really cool backgrounds really fast, then all the power to you. Um, I'm not saying that drawing backgrounds by hand is bad, because it's really cool if you can do it really fast. But if you're a comic artist and you have to draw 200 pages in 6 months or 7 months, because that's usually the normal time span you have for doing a tankobon, at least in Germany. I don't know how it is in other countries. I think in Japan it's even less. Then you have to either be able to draw very cool backgrounds very, very, very quickly, or hi Manuel, or you have to do something like using 3D backgrounds or using pre-made backgrounds and stuff. But the thing with pre-made backgrounds is that they usually they're very limited, so you have to either fit your characters to the pre-made background or not use pre-made backgrounds. um, well, the problem with that is that you had a vision when you wanted to draw your comic, and when you did your storyboard, and then to have your vision fit to a pre-made background in afterwards is it's destroying your own vision. Sadly, this I don't know. um, so having 3D backgrounds where you can change the perspective of the camera angle, um, is way more efficient, I think, or fits your vision way better than using pre-made backgrounds. Optics is asking, aren't you supposed to hand sketch everything on paper and then redo it digitally without tracing it for every panel? Is that a troll question? Yeah, one really cool thing you can do is to use Blender. It has a 3D pencil tool now where you can basically draw in 3D space and rotate the camera for the base thing, which is super fast, and then just position your camera. Yeah, that too. I mean, Blender is a really cool tool for our background anyway, because it has this really nice line tool, but I'm not as used to Blender yet to make complete and full backgrounds in Blender, so I'm sticking to SketchUp. Also um, because SketchUp has a very big warehouse online where you can download things for backgrounds and just put them in your rooms and stuff. So you don't have to make every little detail you're using for a room. So yeah, and if you don't use 3D backgrounds or pre-made backgrounds, or are super fast in drawing your own backgrounds, then the only thing left, I guess, is not drawing backgrounds at all, and that's not really having your characters in a white space is not doing yourself a favor, because people won't know where your comic is taking place, and backgrounds in general, um, how do you say it? They add a lot to the overall look and feel and the emotions in a scene and everything. So you can do a lot of stuff with that. So enough talking. um, let's go to SketchUp. Open SketchUp. SketchUp. There we go. So this is SketchUp Pro 2017. I said SketchUp Make. You can get this for free. Pro is, of course, you have to pay for it. But the only reason I have Pro is because I needed this this extension here, the Fluid Importer Lite, for importing my 3D people if I need, because I have some nice 3D models for my characters from DAS, and sometimes there's poses that I struggle with, so I just make the pose in DAS, export as object file, and import in SketchUp. And for that I need the Fluid Importer, and for the Fluid Importer I needed SketchUp Pro. So yeah, so you can do all the things I show you. You can do in SketchUp Make as well. You can, of course, you can go and just make your own stuff with the various tools that there are. Like, I don't know. I won't show you how to build stuff in SketchUp today, because this is not the tutorial for this. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff. Just look up a lot of tutorials. But this is not the topic of this tutorial today. That would take too long, way too long. So as I said before, there's a very big warehouse online that's just called SketchUp Warehouse. where people like me and people like you and sometimes corporations upload 3D models you can download. You cannot sell the models themselves because that would be copyright infringement, but you can use those models to make an image and then further change the image and then use that image, and that is okay. That's not problematic copyright wise. So I'm just gonna see what I have so many files. Let's see, what do I have here? Hospital. I think the hospital files are not the best things. I'm just gonna go in my files for my current project. Focus 10. What? Ah, there. You see, it's chaos in here, but you can just make a folder in your own projects folder if you're doing a comic, and just save different sceneries and backgrounds in there as 3D objects too, so you can find them easier. So like I have, let's see, this room. I'll take the room of my main character. Why is there a temporary way? Fine. I have three different files for the same room. Nice. I'm gonna take the first one. I think it doesn't. No, not. Don't change. It doesn't take too long to load. Of course, the more things you put in a room or in a scene, the longer it takes to load. But if you're drawing more than one pages with the same background or in the same place, then you can just leave SketchUp open in the background to quickly get to your background. Yeah, it's still loading. So if you have a background from SketchUp, which I will show you in a minute, you can either go and put your stick figures in the background after you have the background, after you made the background or decided on a perspective and everything, or you make the background after you made the storyboard and try to fit the background to the storyboard, or even the characters when you already drawn them. For that, there's another little program you can use, which is called Peek Through. This I hope you can see it. Yeah, this little program here. It's called Peek Through, and it's also free. It usually works very fine. I think I had some problems when I was on Windows 7 back then, that it sometimes fucked up a little my arrow theme and stuff. But with this you can put windows on transparency. So if I go into this window into the SketchUp window, so I have this selected, and then hit my Windows key plus Y, then the whole SketchUp window will just turn transparent. And if I have my manga page or my comic page underneath open in Eclipse Studio, then I can just pull the background into the right perspective before exporting the JPEG or PNG. It's still loading. No! I'm sorry. Please load. I didn't think that it was this big. Dang it. So any questions so far? as we have to wait anyways. Now is the time to ask me some questions. Also, don't forget to drink. Jeez, could you please... okay, there we go. We done now? Hello? I think that was the problem. The shadow was turned on. Always save your models without the shadows turned on, because it takes a lot of time to render the shadows, especially on startup. So this is very white. I think I have... Yeah, there we go. There's textures and colors and everything. Sometimes I color backgrounds in very nasty colors, like this. I don't think this is really the color Adrian, my comics hero, would have on his wall. But it's easier for PhotoSketcher to see the different layers of the picture if they are widely different in color. So this is his bedroom with window and everything. So the room itself I built in SketchUp, but the window, of course, is from the warehouse, and this mural is from the warehouse, and all the small things that are in here are all from the warehouse. So I didn't really have to build anything besides the room itself by myself. I just had to download a lot of shit and just put it in there. It takes a while to put everything in there because of loading time and small details and stuff. But if you have this room done once, you have a lot of little stuff put in there that you might forget while drawing. For example, if I just drew this, then I might forget this little cup, or these headphones, or this here, which I don't know why this is even here because there are no plants. Are there plants? Wait, no. I think there was one here. There we go. This little cactus, which I would also forget, or all these little pens, or this bag here, or I don't know, this here. I would most definitely forget. Those little things that make the room look lived in, which are easily forgotten, especially when you're on a deadline and don't have much time. Then you easily forget little stuff like that. So it makes sense to build a room in 3D when you know that you will need it more than once, or more than 10 times, just so you don't forget little things, or don't forget the size of the room, for example, is also, I mean, if you had to draw this all the time, you'd have to keep in mind how big this room is and how big in relation to the room the bed is, for example, or these boxes, or the table and the chair and everything. You need to keep in mind how big the room is. Otherwise, you'd have everything from broom closet to a big dining hall, and it's all for what's the word? So it looks the same all the time. So, as I said, wait, I'm gonna see if I have a little sketch or something which I can fit the room to. I'm gonna take an older chapter. the second? Wait, I think. Yeah. I'm just searching for any page that fits my needs just now. Doesn't necessarily need to be his room. I'm just gonna take this one and hope it's still open. Is it still open? Ah, dang it, it's not. I have to take something later. Oh yeah, this one too. Oh. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. Sorry, I'm always chaotic. That's my style. There you go. I'm just gonna take this one. You'll have to live with it. Not sorry. So, for example, let's just say this is your panel and you want to put a background behind this panel. First, of course, you have to, or wait, no, we don't. You have to make sure you have the biggest view possible on this panel. So if the page was bigger than this, you just take this the zoom tool and make a box around your panel a little bigger than the panel itself, so that it's centered and is as big as can be, because you need the background to be as big as can be for exactly fitting for the panel. So if I go in here now and I don't know where to put them. I'm gonna decide after making this see-through. So I hope this works now, because in an older version it didn't. So I hit Windows and Y. If you remember, I have this little program called Peek Through, and my keys for this to work is Windows and Y. And now that I have selected the SketchUp program, I hit Windows and Y. And I hope you can see that now the SketchUp window is a little transparent. I can still move everything in SketchUp because it's still selected, and I can go in and try to fit the perspective to the scene. Slightly upwards, but I don't really know where they are standing. I think I'll just put them at the window somehow, somewhere. This to be a little more further up. Of course, this is an example. Like, yeah, all these lines I could have put in there myself, but if I put them somewhere else, like in front of this, there we go. Maybe like this. Welcome back. No, wait, welcome. So like if you do it like this, so you can still see this, because this drawing this is just I mean, not just the drawing, but the putting this into perspective, everything round in perspective is, and this into perspective just by hand, not a lot of fun. So just put them in like this, I think. Not like you can see a lot of the background anymore, but this should be the right perspective for them if they're standing in the room, I think. You have to still know a little bit about the perspective, otherwise you'll just put really weirdly slanted backgrounds or something, or zoomed in backgrounds behind your characters or around your characters. So you have to still know, okay, if they are standing like this in front of this cupboard, then you need to put them a little further up so it doesn't look weird or the wrong way, because this view of them is from a little from down below, so you have to know a little bit about perspective to put them into the right place. But that's something you learn with time. You can also always just put a placeholder characters with the right size into the same place and try to fit them to your characters to learn how to put the right perspective behind your characters. I'm just gonna use this right now, like this, exactly like this. So I'm gonna go and hit Windows Y again, so I have my my SketchUp back into non-transparent mode again, and just go File, Export, 2D Graphic, and then you get this export window. And I usually have my folder for the backgrounds, which is called temp HD. It's just the German word for backgrounds is Hintergrund, so HD is Hintergrund. And usually I say, I'm usually being like, oh, this is just a temporary background, I don't need this anymore afterwards. But I have a lot of stuff in here. As you can see, all the old chapters, which are none of them have PNG in there because I've used to use JPEG. But lately I have started using PNG, as I said. So there you have, you could just export like this, but then the file would be very small and not very good to use for your backgrounds, because usually if you're doing a comic, then you're always, or you should always, try to make your pages big enough for possible print. So yeah, especially in black and white, you need your files to be very big, because if you draw a manga, then you need at least 600 dpi for good looking black and white stuff. So you go to options, and as you can see, the size of my export PNGs is quite large. It's 5,000 pixels width by 2,834 pixels width height, which I think if I change this, it changes automatically. So this, yeah, this really weird number down here is just because I've put in the 5,000 width, which should be fine, or is usually fine for what I'm doing. So it's okay, and then you just give a name to the file, whatever you need. I usually go and because I have so many backgrounds, I'm just going in and name them like volume something, page something something, and then put the panel behind that, like, I don't know, volume 8, page 34, and then 1, because because it's the first panel on that page, for example. So, and then just go in and hit export. Doesn't take that long because it's just basically making a screenshot more or less. So, and with that we can close SketchUp and open PhotoSketcher. Oh, come on, there we go. Oh god, I hope it works, because also, yeah, no, you can see it. I remember under Windows 7 you could just not see with this window here, this PhotoSketcher window, because it just wouldn't show up in OBS, and I didn't know why. So yeah, this is PhotoSketcher, as I said. This is a free program you can just download, and it's way better in seeing lines and stuff and details in dark spaces than Photoshop or Clip Studio does. So whoop, there we go. Those are my background files. This is the file I had opened before. If I just go and open this PNG file, then there's these different. Do I have this in English? Can I change this to English? Yeah, I can. There we go. If this window that pops up usually is gone, you can just go here on this little palette, and it opens up again. So these drawing parameters. How, how do you say it? Okay. The drawing. These are what you need. The drawing style for manga backgrounds will be pen and ink sketch 2, not the one, because the one, as you can see, is this really weird hatchy style, which doesn't look very good. So you're gonna use pen and ink sketch 2. Then you get this very little preview window that doesn't do much, but you can get a gist of how which places will be dark and which places will be white. And you can already see, if I go close, zoom in close here on this little windowsill, you can see that PhotoSketcher sees that this here is an edge that otherwise, if I just changed it to black and white in Photoshop or Zabaramedas, yeah, in Photoshop or in Clip Studio, then this here would be one solid black black space, because Photoshop and Clip Studio would not see that this here is still a line between those two dark spaces. So this is why I am using PhotoSketcher instead of just changing the colored picture in Photoshop or Clip Studio to black and white. So if I'm not happy with this space here being black, because it's not that dark in the room for this otherwise very bright turquoise. What's the word in English? It's, I don't know, cyan? Light blue? I don't know. Cyan. Let's say cyan. To be this dark, I can just go into the level or into the dark and light parameters, and lighten this. So there you go. This is very bright now, but still things that are way darker are still black. Like here, this are some of the folds in the cloth, or some of the books will still be black. There you go. I can of course push this way further up, so it gets even lighter. I think the box is still black, yeah. Of course I can also do the other way around. I can just pull this down so it gets really, really dark in general. But that's, yeah, you have to decide what you want with this picture, and of course it also depends on how bright or how dark the picture is, or the export is that you exported out of PhotoSketcher. So I usually use something around 180 to 220, depending on how dark or light the background is, or also if it's a night scene or something, then I'll just pull it down so there's solid blacks in there. I'm just gonna leave it like this now because it looks cool. And also still here you can see these are really dark parts, but PhotoSketcher sees that this part here does not belong to the shelf, so it just puts a white edge around this, so you can still see the difference, which is really nice. As I said, there's no other program I know of that does this. And also here, up here, there, it sees that there is an edge and puts a white line in there, so it doesn't become just solid black. So this level of details and image simplification is something you can play around with. We usually do not change a lot about those two, because the more, also, if you say I want more level of details, then PhotoSketcher will just try to see a lot more details in there. But I think in this image there's not a lot of details to see. If I had a, I don't know, a tree or something, then this would look way different, I guess. And also, if you push up the image simplification, then there's much less detail to be seen. So if you push both up, then nothing will happen really. So you have either push one down and one up, or the other way around to change really much in the picture. So if you're done everything here, then you just push draw and wait for this yellow thing to go all the way to 100%. Sometimes takes a little while because if there's a lot of detail on the picture, then it'll take a little while to render everything, just because it's searching for the edges to make white lines around. There we go. Can close this now. And now you can see this is your old picture, and this is the new version in black and white, and you can just zoom in and look if everything is fine and if you like everything. But you usually don't need to zoom in as much, because if you have your panel, you usually, I don't know, usually you're not putting your nose to the page and looking at little details like these books and stuff to see what's written on there. So if you like it in the overview, then it usually should be fine. So you just go and save this. As I said, you can oversave your, is it oversave? Is that the right word? I don't know. Over your old file. Or you can just let PhotoSketcher put the PhotoSketcher ending on your old file and make a new one. So you can always go back and make another version of your black and white picture. So you just go and save. And with that, this is done. You can close this now. Usually I just leave all these programs open, because when I do backgrounds, then I'll most likely do more than one background at a time, because oftentimes I just draw my characters first, and then go in, like I draw them first for the entire page, and then I go in and put all the backgrounds in the whole page in more than one panel at the same time, because of the loading times and stuff. As I said, sometimes backgrounds are really big, so it takes a lot of time to load them up. Like I have a currently I have a scene that's taking place at a graveyard, and the graveyard is a pretty big file because there's a lot of foliage in there and stuff, so it takes a lot of time to open. So I'm actually currently drawing all the characters on almost all the pages, and then go in and put the backgrounds of the graveyard in, because saving loading time. So that's why I go and export from SketchUp, put one in PhotoSketcher, and while that is loading, I'm trying to do the background for another panel in SketchUp, then saving this one, and then going over to the next step and just putting them in all at the same time, or one after another, at the end. So now we have a black and white image. Oh, hi, Nico. This is going to be a VOD later, so this is okay. If you missed anything, you can just look it up later. Yeah, we could use the black and white picture we got from PhotoSketcher just now, but the problem with those pictures is that they look very not hand-drawn. If that fits your style or the style of your comic, then that's absolutely fine. Then you do not need to do any more steps or need to take any more steps. But usually it looks a lot better if it looks at least a little hand drawn. So to achieve that, I open Illustrator. As I said, it should work the same in Inkscape if you do not have Illustrator. But I will show this in Illustrator because I do not have Inkscape. But Inkscape is a free program, so if you don't have the money to get Illustrator, which I only could afford because I was a student at the time, you can get Inkscape for free. So yeah, you go to Illustrator and just wait, open a new document. And how big this document is depends on how big your pages are. You have to play around with it a bit. As my pages are not just 600 dpi, but even 1200 dpi, because the quality and stuff. I need quite a big document for the backgrounds. What the hell happened? There we go. Sorry. Quite a big document for the backgrounds because otherwise the background wouldn't be big enough to fit the pages, and it would look, I don't know, it would look weird. So yeah, the size of my my document is 400 millimeters by 250 millimeters, which is 40 centimeters by 25 centimeters. I do not know how much inch this is because I'm from Germany, and in Germany we have metric system, and which is the only proper I haven't said anything. So just decide on a size so it looks proper, because if this was I don't know, half the size, then the lines of the background would be very very big and thick and they wouldn't fit the characters anymore, because you should try to make the lines of the background a little thinner than the lines of the characters, because the background is in the background. And everything that's further away from the reader should should have thinner lines, because that's how it works. So there we go. just open the document. Then you go place, I think it is in English. With Illustrator, I sadly cannot just change the language, I'm sorry. But it should be place. Either place or import. Though I think there's an import button as well. Oh, I think it's place. And then you go and this is our black and white picture from PhotoSketcher we just saved. So you can just go and place this one. It's even a little bigger than my file. And because the panel or the page I just made this background for is taller than it is wide, I'll make sure that the height fits the file, not the width. So it's 250, and there we go, enter. So this part here is crucial because I know that this gets cut off like here or something. So this can stay like this is. And now to the magic. You have this here and it's... what is it called in English? Wait, I'll just quickly check for you. English. Is it just vectorize? Oh, there's the translation. Object. Life paint. Yeah, it's object life paint. Or life trace. Either of those, I think. Yeah. It's called life trace from Adobe CS4 onward, so it's life trace. But it's also usually up here. You can either just let it do its thing by itself, which also already looks pretty good, but I like to fiddle around with it a little, and if you've put in your own preferences and everything, you can save the preference under a name, and then it will be somewhere in here. Like this is one of my preferences, and this is another one, but I don't really use this one. I only use this one. But first, I show you how to get to those preferences. You go to Object, and then Life Trace in English, and then go to I guess it's Life Trace Options, and then you get this little window, and all this is not really important. What you need is these three, and maybe this one. This little checkbox is either ignore everything that is white and just make these change the lines into a vector drawing, so the white will just be transparent, or you don't ignore white. Either you ignore white or you don't ignore white. The difference is that I think if you ignore white, the lines get a little thicker than if you don't ignore white, but I'll see. I'll have to look at try. These three are the most important. This here is the first one is how accurate Illustrator will redo the lines. So if you have like very straight architecture and stuff, or very detailed stuff that you want to be very accurate, then the smaller the numbers, the more accurate your vector will be. And the higher the number, the more it will look a little organic or hand drawn or a little shaky. I usually put it on 4 or 5. Then you have this part here that I'm not sure what it does, but I put it usually on 5. And this is just how rounded the corners are. And because these is not very organic, I don't want the corners to be super round, so I just put it on 6. So usually my my settings are for 5, 6. It's just that easy. Um, and you can just see what it does, if it looks fine. So this is, I don't know, do you see, I hope you see what happens when I do tick the preview box here. I mean, you see this here is all very, very pixelated and a little rough around the edges and everything, and it looks very straight and very computer generated. So if I tick this box here, you hopefully see what happens. There we go. I mean, yeah, it's still, because the lines of the cupboard, for example, are, I mean, if you draw it by hands, it's still, they would still look very straight, because you would use a ruler for that. But there's a very, very slight change in thickness of the line to the end, for example. And I think best you can see it here, because this part is thin and this is a little thicker. Then this where they meet is a little thinner. This part is very thick. And here the line width is also a little different than before. And overall it looks a little smoother. Or here you can see it very well here as well, because here's some thin lines. Sometimes they're even broken off, and some thicker parts. This all makes it look a little more hand drawn, instead of screaming, "I was computer generated with SketchUp," and it usually looks a little better in a comic when it looks hand drawn. It's not to lie to anyone, to make it seem like you've drawn this all by hand, but it's just so that the look, it would be the same if you draw very cartoonish characters and put them in front of a photo generated background. Like, just put them in front of a photo background. It would look really, really weird. So it's all just to try to make them look fitting to each other. Like, wait, there's a word for it, but I can't remember it. So let's see what I think it'll get either thicker or thinner if I tick this. I just try it. Let's see what happens. Wait, huh? Oh yeah, it gets a little thicker in places, like here. These lines, this line here of the two drawers, they get a little thicker. If I de-tick this, they get a lot thinner there, and they almost vanish. So I guess it depends on the background and the style you want. I think I let it ticked, because I think if these lines vanish, then it wouldn't look as good, because there's already not as much detail in this background. So if you're content with what you just did, you can just do this here. I think in English it would say live trace, because this is the German equivalent to this. So you just say okay, and then nothing much will happen. If you had the preview on already, then it will not re-render the vectors, because it already did that. If you're getting a little more used to this, you will not even use the preview anymore. You will just save those settings you just had, and put them in this little drop down that was here, like here. Just click this and then save. It will be a very quick workflow if you know what you're doing, or once you get used to this. So, any questions so far? I think I need a little moment to breathe. So, if you have any questions, now's your time. Okay, no one has any questions? I'm either really good at explaining or I lost you hours ago. Okay, then, if no one has any questions, I'll go to the next step, which is just first saving this as a TIFF. If you're drawing your comics in Photoshop or any other program that can import vector files like EPS, then you can just save this file as an EPS, because that makes everything a little easier, because you can pull the background as big as you want without losing any quality. But as I said, Clip Studio sadly does not have any way to import vector files, so I'll usually save as TIFF, but you don't save this via saving, but via exporting. So you're exporting to TIFF. I'll just let it be 3 TIFF. Just save this, then you have this little dialog coming up. Then you go from CMYK to gray, because it is just black and white, and it would be unnecessary to save this as CMYK, because it just unnecessarily makes the file bigger. So just change it to gray, and then don't use these 3 first ones, because if I say high quality, it's just 300 dpi, and 300 dpi is not enough for black and white manga. As I said, you usually should make your pages 600 dpi if you're wanting to print this in pure black and white with screen tones. So 300 dpi for the background would be very good, because even if this is 40 centimeters wide, it would be half the size on your manga page, or even smaller. So I go to other and put in the highest DPI I can get away with. At this size, if I put something that's too high, then Illustrator will usually tell me that it can't export the TIFF with that DPI, because it doesn't have the possibilities. I don't know why, but the highest I could get away with so far was 460 dpi. So I just do this. Usually I put in LZW what is it in English? Comprom um um help. Compression. It's compression. Great. Okay. It's L Z no wait, this is Z, right? L Z W compression? Yeah, because I don't know, I learned that this is the best way to compress something. And just click OK. And then it usually saves the file, and done. Close this up. Ah, no! Not my background. Ah, There we go. Yeah, and then you have your clip. You can open your Clip Studio file again, and your panel or your page, and then you can go in and make a new. Oh no, wait! You don't even need to make a new layer for this because it will automatically make one for you. And just I don't know, go in and select your background. It takes a while because the page is a little bigger. You can wait. Clip Studio has this very nice little tool up here that is called Quick Mask. You have the same in Photoshop, and it makes everything. It makes easier to see what you have selected and what you didn't. I think it's usually the things in Photoshop. It's the things that you don't have selected that get red, but you can change it to if you double click it or right click it, you can change the options to making everything red that is selected, which is the way I have it in here. I think can change it in Clip Studio as well, but I think the usual is that everything gets red that you have selected. You can also change the color of the selection like so. Everything gets blue, but the default is red, so let's just leave it red. Yeah, wait, I need to. This is also in the background, and I think this is also, and this should be. Yeah, that should be it. Usually, if you have your characters and then put a background behind them, you don't put in the background exactly around their outer lines. I'll quickly try to show you why with another background. Just leave this like that and import. I'm gonna import another background that's that has way more detail than the one we just made, just for the sake of showing you why you shouldn't just leave the selection like it is. I'm gonna take this one, which is part of the graveyard I mentioned before. So there's a lot of detail and foliage going on. Oh, let's get out a little more. There we go. Like this. And like this. So as you can see down here in the layers, Clip Studio will automatically make a masked layer for you if you import something and have already selected something before. So it will make a mask in exactly the places where you selected have had a selection before. So, and now as you can see, because I just selected everything directly outside the outlines, there's no distinction between the outlines of the character and the black spaces and lines of the background. So everything looks very flat, and this is not something you want because it's harder for the reader to distinguish between the characters and the background, and see what's going on, and that the characters are actually in the foreground and not part of the background. It's partially it's also part of what I said before, that the foreground also always has to have bigger or thicker lines than the background, which is also not the case in this case, because these lines, as you can see, are way thicker than these lines, for example. So if I go in, you can do this after you took the background and put it in, because you have the mask. best also always use a mask for something like that, especially for putting in backgrounds, because you might want to push the background around in the picture so it fits, and if you just erase parts of your backgrounds, then you can't really do that anymore. So if you have this problem or forgot to change your selection before, you can just go and push Control, and then you have your layer where your line art is on. Like, this is my line art layer, and if you push Control and at the same time click on the small preview of that layer, Eclipse Studio will automatically select everything that is on the layer, which is your line art. If you go to the quick mask selection, then you see that everything on the line art layer is selected. What you now want to do is, you have this little palette down here, the selection palette, and in the selection palette there's the part that says expand selected area, and if you click that, you get a little dialog that asks you how many pixels you want to expand your selected area. For a page of my size, of this size here, as I said, this is a complete page. This is I think like almost A5 size, and to 1200 dpi, so it's rather big, and it's usually, for me, this is like 12 pixels is okay. If I make but you have to see what fits your pages. And if I hit OK, it makes the selection wider. If I go into the quick mask mode, I can see that the line art has it's a little bigger. The selection around the line art is a little bigger. This is easier than just drawing in an outline by hand or something. So going back to normal selection, and if you go now on your background layer, and you have this little preview of the mask, you click the mask, not the layer itself, but the mask. You can see it that you selected it via this little white box you have around either the layer itself or the mask. And if you have selected the mask, you can just go in and delete everything off the mask that you... Oh, wait. No, you have to fill in everything of the mask you just selected. Yeah. Just select either white or black, it's completely irrelevant, and hit fill. No, wait, it was the other way around. Ah, dang it. back. I haven't said anything. So you just delete it. So like, just hit delete on your keyboard, and you can see now you have a white rim around your characters. It's not extremely noticeable. Like, you're not doing a really thick white outline around your characters. It's really just a little detail that pops out the characters from the background and makes sure the reader knows that the characters are in the foreground and the background is in the background. We still have the little problem that the lines are too thick with this background, because this background was made for a very much smaller panel. So yeah, but this is not the right background anyways. I just wanted to show you why you should expand your selection, or rather delete this fine line outside your characters for the effect that the readers can quickly see that the characters are in the foreground and the background is in the background, and see better what's happening on the page. So I'm gonna delete this background because I don't need it. I'm not going to do the whole magic wand thing again because I have this layer here which has been the old background. I'm just gonna select this one because it already has a quite thick line that I can use. Maybe I'll expand this a little. Yeah, a little more. You can play around with this. It's because this is also just a question of style and what you like yourself. So now I'm gonna import the actual background we made for this one. It's this here. Oh wait, it's not this. TIFF. This one. So just open this. This is not yet a proper pixelated image, which is why it usually has this little object marker on the layer. So you can't. Right now, I couldn't go and draw in stuff or just erase stuff because this is still an object yet. So I would have to rasterize the image to make sure that I can draw stuff in there. So I think we can leave this like that. So now I'll just go in and right click, rasterize, and it'll change from an object to a normal raster image. Is it raster? Raster? Not vector image. Me. So now it's done. Here we also have the small problem. The lines are almost the same thickness than the lines of the characters, which would be basically fine because they are not that far away from the background, but I like to have more difference. So I usually go in. Right now you have this black and white image, which is gray in here. Wait, let's change to monochrome so it's really actually black and white like now. But you have black and white. So if I would go in with, let's say, the adjust line width tool, which is a really cool tool that lets you change the width of a line. If I go in with this now, nothing would happen. Absolutely nothing would happen to the width of the line because the whole layer is filled with some color. So there is no line width to change. So what you can do is go into Edit, convert brightness to opacity, and Clip Studio will automatically change everything that's white to transparent and everything that's black to, well, still black. So if I take away the white of the paper, you can see that the background image now is also just black on transparent. And now I can go and use this adjust line width tool. Say I want to narrow my line by 0.1 pixel and at least leave 1 pixel. So if there's a very thin line, it won't just completely vanish when I go over this. I can either go and do this by hand over the whole image like this. I like this tool better actually than the filter tool because you have smaller amounts of pixels. That's the lines get made smaller or thinner. Let's go back like this. Oh wait, there we go. You can also go filter, correct line, adjust line width. But as I said, if you go to narrow, the smallest size you can do is 1.0, not 0.1. So you see it gets way thinner than if you go over this with a tool. Though as big as this background is right now, it probably would be fine. If I bump this all up to like this, then everything would just vanish. Also, of course, you can also leave the at least leave 1 pixel thing, but yeah, it's not pretty. But yeah, I think 2 is fine. Like this. It's just a little detail that makes this look better from before. I could have left it like before, but as I said, it's always better to make sure the background lines are a little thinner than the foreground lines, just for clarity. So basically you can leave this like it is right now. Depending on your style, you can just, if you have a very clean style, you can just leave this. But it usually always looks better, especially with manga. I'm not sure about colored comics, but if you're working in black and white only, that usually looks better if you just go in a little more and draw a little hatching and stuff on the background. Like I had this one background here. Yeah, this one I uploaded to Twitter a few days ago when I was asking if anyone was interested in this tutorial. It was this this background here, and of course all these little dirt hatchings and everything, and these hatchings here on the what's it called in English? What is that? This thing here you sit on. The bench, right? I'm sorry. The bench. So these little lines on the bench are I drew in by hand, and also this hatching here. I have a very nice hatching brush for that. I don't know if it's even, maybe it's even on a different layer. Wait, this is the panel. This is the background. Oh yeah, it's even on another layer, as you can see this here. This is the layer I've put all the hatching onto. So if I take off the tones, this was the background without any further work, and this is the background after I put in some hatching, some birds in the background, some little leaves on the trees because it's getting spring and stuff. So there's a big difference in how the backgrounds, how actually manually drawn a background looks, with and without some little hatching stuff. And it didn't really take long. I think this panel took me like, I don't know, half an hour or something. It really wasn't that much. And if I had to draw this whole panel by myself, like without the help of 3D or anything, I don't know, it probably would have taken me 4, 5, 6 hours or something, at least, because of all the little details here in the trees and these little bricks in the wall and all these little leaves here and everything. It would have taken very long. Yes, thank you, Nico. I was hoping someone would answer me before I had to go to a dictionary, but it was faster to just look it up quickly. But still, thank you. So yeah, and as I mentioned before, I started with more or less with this panel started exporting my SketchUp backgrounds as PNG because in SketchUp the PNG, everything that's not an object in SketchUp, so like the background, the sky and the floor um, of the program itself, it will just get exported as transparent. And with this, it was really practical, you could say, because these um, these houses here in the background. The thing is, this park, this whole graveyard park thing, um, is already very very large as a file, as a 3D file, and SketchUp is not a very good 3D program. If you, I mean, I like to use it because it's easy to use basically, but in terms of file management and um, what's the word? Um, uh, m m m m like power of the program itself. Like the same size of model in Blender would be way easier to use and would load way faster and everything, because Blender is, as a program, better than SketchUp, because the source code of SketchUp, I heard, is very convoluted and pretty fucked up, but as I said, it's still pretty easy to use for beginners, and that's why I still use it instead of using Blender. And also you have this massive library of stuff you can just download and use. So I'll just came up with layering backgrounds basically. So you have this layer here, which is the park, and these houses are actually a completely different render, a completely different model that I just pushed in the background and tried to get the same, or roughly the same perspective as the park. So I can just take away the houses if I want. And it looks like, yeah, I mean, it looks better with the houses. But if I had put the houses as well into the park model as well, this would be just a massive file, and I already have problems moving around in the park with the camera when I without the houses. And lately I've started to just make those little leaves, because these little leaves are the real problem for performance. That was the word I was searching for. SketchUp has bad performance, so the little leaves are bogging down the performance of SketchUp. So I usually hide them when I'm moving around and just unhide them the moment before I export the picture. So, and why PNG? Because trying to get all these little, damn, I need a, yeah, to get all these little white parts transparent or selected, especially here. Not, this isn't even the problem here. This here, if I put it out, this here, these little leaves and everything, to get into this and try to select every little white space in this tree would be more work than it's worth. So having the PNG with a transparent background, so everything is already transparent. I'll just go and overlay the PNG over the TIFF, and the quality is not a matter here. It's just solely to get the transparency, and I'll just put it over the TIFF in the same size and the same place, so it fits perfectly over each other. And then I just do the control layer thing where I select everything that's on the PNG layer because it already has the perfect transparency from the export, and then go back to the actual background layer and just delete everything that is not selected from the PNG. If that, wait, I'm just gonna show you what I mean. Go back to the backgrounds because it should still be in here. PNG, just I think I even have this exact background still here somewhere. There it is. It's 3.2, so where's the 831, 832, there's the TIFF. So I'm just gonna go open both. This is the TIFF. It's just mirrored because this statue is actually in my model on the other side, but it looked weird, so I turned it around. So if I go, this is the PNG. As you can see, there's all this transparent stuff in here. So if I make a layer under the PNG or under the actual background layer, I could just draw stuff in, and you can see this little tree here has all the transparency already perfectly exported for me. So if I go and do Control Control copy, Control C, and go back to my TIFF, just Control V for pasting, Control T for transform, then you hold Shift and pull the PNG perfectly over your TIFF and say OK. Which makes them perfectly aligned. And then you go Control and click on your PNG layer to make everything selected that is not transparent. Afterwards you can just put it away somewhere. And then go to your TIFF layer and just either you can just go select invert selected area and then just hit delete, or you go down here in your cool little selection palette, because there's this little button here that says delete outside selection. That means everything that is not selected right now will be deleted, like all the white stuff in here that I don't need. Let's say delete, and it just deletes everything that has been transparent before in the PNG, which is perfect. Because now I can go and just say all, copy, Control A, like select all, select, no wait, Control, copy, and go in, let's go in here, because why not? There you go. Oh yeah, right. If you have selected something, it will not make a new layer for you if you just paste it, because that just works if you import it. If you paste it from another file, you have to make another layer and make a mask on the layer like this, and just paste it, and Control E to put it onto the mask layer. Or you go, wait, hold, or you go and instead of making a layer, you make a new folder, a layer folder, and put a mask on that, and then do Control V or paste to put the layer into the folder, which in my opinion is even easier, because of another thing that I will show you real quick in a minute. But yeah, you can, instead of importing backgrounds and stuff, you can just paste them as well after you deleted the background. Like, I don't know. Because now in the folder I can go and make a new layer, for example. Ah, wait, it's still transforming. There we go. I'm too fast for Clip Studio. There we go. Wait. No, I'm too slow for Clip Studio. There we go. Don't forget to drink, kids. There we go. I could make a layer, pull it beneath the background I just pasted, and let's say I want a black to white or black to transparent what's the word in English? This thing here, gradient. For gradients, I need to change the layer mode to gray, if you not already have it set to that. So if I go and make a layer with a gradient underneath the TIFF I just copied with a transparent, partially transparent background, you can see now that this gradient is only shown in the parts where the background is transparent. So if you have a really detailed or like a background I showed you before, from where you need to layer backgrounds because otherwise the model would be way too big, then this is an easy way to make sure you're not accidentally deleting anything. Because if I had just tried to get all the white bits in this tree, then I would have deleted some of the leaves that were still in here that have been white or have been colored. So this is way easier than trying to get all those little spaces. If you export as PNG and just delete everything that's transparent. It's an extra step, but you're not doing it all the time. Like, if you have indoor stuff, then you usually do not try to layer any backgrounds. It's more for outside stuff, especially if you try to put I don't know, a city in the background or something. Then you usually layer because it's easier to layer house backgrounds and skyscraper backgrounds than put together a really big complete city in SketchUp, because I tried and it was not fun. Can you tell I like my new emote buttons? Nay. So, I'm gonna close this now because I don't need this anymore. Do not save. Thank you very much. Yoink. Another yoink. So another thing that's really great when using SketchUp is if you want a, I don't know, a light. Wait, I have the word in German. I just need to look it up. What? The dictionary just only gives me the theater translation. The Q state? I don't think that's right. The mood, the light mood. The mood in light. Wait, with light. The meh. I mean, you can change the mood of a scene, the way you shade the background, even if the shading is just gray. So, and if you just don't want to, um, mm, if you want to make sure that the shading and the light is right, you can, yeah, mood lighting. I think that's the right word. I'm just a little stupid today. Sorry. Um, yeah, if you want to make sure that the light and shadows are right, you can also just um, have SketchUp do the work for you. So if you go to SketchUp, as I said, always save your files without the shadows on, because it's really yeah, as I said, SketchUp is not really good performance wise. So until you know which perspective and everything you want for your background and everything, leave the shadows off. Like there's view and then shadows thing, or you can just use this button here, down here, in the shadows tab. Just leave this off until you have your perspective, because the rendering the shadows, it can take a lot of time, or when the shadows are on and you move your 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 model, then it will be like because it's trying to follow the the movement with rendering the shadows every few pixels, and this is really, depending on what machine you have, what PC you have, or laptop or anything, this can really be very frustrating. So yeah, um, let's say I want my perspective be like this. There's, by the way, there is a door in this room. Here, there it is. I just um, you can have layers in SketchUp, but as I said, I won't explain how to use SketchUp in this tutorial. But you can have layers in SketchUp. You put different things on, and I've just mostly made layers for every wall. Like this is the door wall, and I just can just make it go away. Or if I want the view from here, this is the wall from the cupboard, so I can just make this go away. So I can look into the room from every side without the walls getting in the way, but still seeing all the other walls and things that are on the wall, depending on what angle I need and what perspective I need. So let's leave it like this. And if I put the shadows on right now, you can see that the light comes from over there somewhere, and it just falls into the room like this. I mean, this here is an easy shadow on just a flat surface. I can do that in Clip Studio myself. That's not what I need SketchUp for. That would be, it would be stupid to try to or to have shadows made by SketchUp just for this here. But as you can already see here, this is a different story. If I go and change the time of day and the date of the day that we're having this scene, then the shadow will change. Like if it gets earlier in the day, then the sun will move around to this side. And of course, I have to be careful that as my wall is gone, sometime of the day the sun will be on the side of the missing wall, and the shadows won't be right anymore. So I have to be careful of that. And So and in winter time, the sun usually is lower than in summer. I mean, you, I think you know that. Usually, you should. That's just environmental. Anyway, the more I go into summer, the further up the sun goes, and the further, of course, the light goes towards the window. And the further I go into winter, the further the light goes into the room, of course. And then we have this nice shadow situation here on the bed, where the light hits the very not so flat surface of the bed, and also this little bag here that also has its own shadow and everything. So this is why I would. This is when I would use SketchUp for the shadows if I want a correct um, shadow and light situation in the background of a panel for mood things. I think I'm just go a little more. Yeah, not as far. There we go. Want the light to hit the. Not as far. What the hell? Let's make it 12:10. Yeah, that's good. So I have the light hit the back, and also here a little more light that comes through. Yeah, that's nice. So now that I have that, I'm just gonna make this go away for now and export just the normal PNG or JPEG. In this case, this is it's whatever, because there's no transparency, because there's objects everywhere in the picture. But yeah, let's just overwrite this one. Yeah, I want to overwrite this one. Please export this. Thank you. Takes a moment. Now don't move around in your object while doing this. You have to stay still. Otherwise, this doesn't work. So you have to keep this exact camera angle and everything, and go into put the shadows back on, and then you go into view, face style, hidden line. So all the colors are gone. And if you're in the styles and edit tab, I think, wait, can you do the edge style? Yeah, you can also go via view edge style and just untick profiles, and also untick edges. So basically everything vanishes but the shadows. So you have, if you export now, everything but the shadows are gone. So you basically have your pre-done shadow layer, which is pretty neat. So you just go in. You can also make the shadows darker, like this. So export 2D graphic. And for not being chaotic reasons, you just use the same name as your other file and just put something like, I don't know, S or shadow or something at the end, so you know that they belong together. Like here you can see this is the bathroom 8, also volume 8, page 19, panel 2 background, and this here is the shadow file for that background. There we go. There we go. Now you can go back to, I don't know, some style. Let's just take this one. And as I said, always untick the shadows before saving, because otherwise it would take a lot longer to load the file than with the shadows on. There, gonna. It's still exporting. Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna close SketchUp now. Let me quickly do the same stuff again I did before with PhotoSketcher. Shouldn't have closed the program. Oh, why is it so big? No. Oh, there it is. No, would you please not? There we go. My God. By the way, if you ever lose a window in your Windows system, in some other desktop or something, you can use the if you select the program down here. There we go. If you select the program down in your taskbar and go to your Windows button on your keyboard and use the up, down, and left, right keys, then you can move you can move the program around until it's until you see it again on your screen. There we go. I just learned it a few months ago. Didn't know before, so if you didn't know either, then now you know. Let's quickly do pen and ink sketch. I'm not gonna change anything. I'll just leave it as is. Draw because it's faster. It's just for showing you how to just quickly put in the shadows into your background line art. Almost done. There we go. Save that. Save this. Overwrite. I'm still just overwriting the file I made before. So close that one. Open AI. Good thing I had it open. Place the PhotoSketcher file. There we go. Just leave it as is. Object. Live trace. Try live trace options. 4, 5, 6. Ignore right and live trace. Look. this bed is usually something that I erase a lot of lines that are in there because this looks just, I don't know, it just looks wrong. But yeah, sometimes you have 3D models and objects in your models that have some really weird lines when you export them. So you just have to go in and erase, which is another reason why you better go in a little and draw a little in those backgrounds, or change some little things in the backgrounds instead of just taking them as they are. So export as TIFF. As I said, change from CMYK to gray to, I don't know, 460 dpi LZW compression. And just hit OK. And done. This time I'll close this because I don't need this anymore. So now, instead of importing just the background and the shadows by themselves into your comic page, it's best to first open both. Like, here's my TIFF, and where is it? Should be a PNG, right? Yeah, here's my my shadow PNG. Just open both. And just Control A, Control C to select everything and copy. And then just Control V for pasting everything. Control T for transform. Hold Shift to make sure that everything stays the same ratio. Then hit OK. Takes a moment. Usually it's better to go in and with the shadow layer, just go to Edit, Convert Brightness to Opacity. So all the white places will be transparent. Right now it's a very dark gray. I usually go and duplicate the layer, so it gets really completely black, and then I merge those two layers. Merge with the lower layer, so it really is completely black. Because when I tone, then I'm not using some pre-made tones, but I go and just put black for everything, for every tone I have, and just lower the opacity, because that still works. with Clip Studio, that shit works. And it will be perfectly, I don't know, 20%, for example, tones in the end. If I hit the tone button here, then it'll be just perfect 20% tones. Not that I do it in here, because this is not the page. There we go. You could also go in and, if you want more mood, you could go to quick mask mode and make a gradient. Like usually it's darker the closer you are to the light. So where is my mouse? There we go. There's my mouse. So on the left side here, it's darker, and on the right side it's a little lighter. So if I go and zoom out a little bit, come on, there we go, and make a gradient from all the way over here to the window. There we have now this red gradient, because it's the selection, the quick mask selection. And if I go from outside of the quick mask selection, then everything that's red is selected, but there are no harsh edges in the selection. So if I make this off, this looks like it's a hard edge, but if I delete this selection now, just on your keyboard, hit delete, it's still, as you can see, it's still a gradient. Like, don't know if you can see it. Maybe I need to go a little closer. There, I think you could see it. Can't see it. So that's a little more realistic mood, because of the light hitting and bouncing everything's in the room. This part here on this side is usually this here. Oh no. better take this. This part here is usually lighter than this part here, because the light hits this part, this bed and everything, and goes from there all the way over here, and this part usually is a little darker than the other side. Also because of the contrast, because this is so bright, this seems to be darker, and you can just make this feeling for your readers if you're doing a little gradient on this side. I hope that was this was understandable. Sometimes I'm really not good at explaining things. So yeah, if you're done with your background and the background lighting and shadows, you can just go in and hit Shift to, and you click on both layers. Not over here in the preview, because that would mean that you would. I think it would. Oh no, it works. Okay, so wherever you want on the layer, you can just hold Shift and click on both layers, so you have both layers selected, and you don't even have to make a selection on the picture, on the file itself, but just the selecting the layers itself is fine, and you can just copy them, which does only work in Clip Studio. I know for a fact that this doesn't work in Photoshop, because Photoshop just only copies things inside a selection of a layer, or just the insides of a layer, but not two layers or a layer folder. But in Clip Studio, you can just select a complete folder and copy that into a different file, which is super nice. So if I don't know, open some file, I don't know. Let's take this here. Let's just. Oh, there. Right. There we go. If you go back to your actual page, you do again like with the transparent PNG. You just make a folder with your background selection and put a mask on the folder. And with that folder selected, you just hit Control V for pasting. And then you have both layers, as you can see in here, the shadow layer as well as the background line layer. You just need to make sure that you either select the whole folder or select both layers inside the folder before you try to move or transform this. Because you can transform more than one layer at the same time, which I think also doesn't work in Photoshop, but I'm not really sure. So now Lena is a very, very big woman on a very small bed. Of course, now that you have a character in the scene, you need to fix the background shadow to also fit the character somehow. So either you go and make sure that you have the same gray value selected for the character, and just carefully shade the character, and also put a shade in here to make sure that the characters, because even if she wasn't as big as she is right now, she would obscure the light coming from the window, and on this side here, here there would be a shadow from her body in some way, like here, and also her body would also be shaded, of course. So the shading of a character you still have to do yourself, but at least you don't have to do the shading for the background. And also you can now use the background as an orientation, or a reference, not an orientation, as a reference for how the light would most likely hit the character. Like blah, like so. If you want to if you want to have a character in this background, and you need to put more shadows in there, then it's a good idea to first put the background into the page with the character and everything, and put in the new shadows before doing the whole gradient shebang stuff. Because otherwise you'll have the problem that this gray here is lighter than this gray here, and then you don't know which one you should use for the shadow of the character, because this gray here is also darker than this gray here, and the character is right in the middle of those two values, so it's better to first do all the shadows and then do the gradient. But for that, you have to pull the wait wait pull the shadow layer over the character lines, or put the character lines here, like these are the character lines. You would just pull them underneath you. What happened? No. Oh wait, yeah, it's because it's the wrong no, wait. No. This doesn't work. Okay, no, you cannot put the character down there. You have to pull the background out and put it either over the character or under the character. It's both is the same, basically. There we go. Yeah. So, I think that's all. I think that's all I know for now. I can tell you for doing 3D backgrounds in black and white. There's of course, I know how to do colored work as well, but as I'm not doing colored comics yet. Yeah. I I would stop this tutorial here because this has been going on for way longer than I had planned. But if you have questions, then now is the time to ask. Otherwise, I'll end the tutorial here. Then I'll for a moment will stop the stream. So the VOD will be just the tutorial before I start drawing. And then I'll come back with working on my own comic. So if you have questions, now. Do it now. Now. Come on. You know you want to. Please ask something. Don't tell me you understood everything I just said. Yeah, speak now or remain silent forever. So either you have just put my stream on silent, which why would you do that? Or I explained everything wonderfully, which is not possible actually, because I know that I'm very chaotic when trying to explain stuff. Especially technical stuff. Bless you, Nico. if that was you sneezing. That was the cat. Okay. Aww. Cats are so cute. Okay, if no one has any questions, yeah, then I thank you for watching my little tutorial. As I said, this is not the end all go all what how do you say it? This is not the only way to do backgrounds. with 3D. It's just my way, and I know it looks convoluted, but when you're actually used to it, then it's a rather quick and easy thing, compared to just drawing everything by hand. And yeah, so yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm just, as I said, I'll just cut the stream here and come back in a second, so that the VOD is not, I don't know, 5 hours long or something. See you in a bit.